Hello. This is Chapter 15, Entering Developed and Emerging Markets. Our learning objectives today: explain the three basic decisions firms must make when they decide on foreign expansion, which markets to enter, when to enter those markets, and on what scale. Also, compare the different modes firms use to enter foreign markets. Identify the factors that influence a firm's choice of entry mode. Recognize the pros and cons of acquisitions versus greenfield ventures as an international market entry strategy, and evaluate the pros and cons of entering into strategic alliances when going international. International firms must consider the decision of which foreign markets to enter, when to enter them, and on what scale. Also, the choice of entry mode, because there are multiple ones, and also the role of strategic alliances and whether or not they want to have them. Strategic alliances include cross-shareholding deals, licensing arrangements, formal joint ventures, and informal cooperative arrangements. Basic entry decisions include which foreign markets. The choice is based on the assessment of a nation's long-run profit potential. Also, the size of the market, present and likely future wealth of consumers, costs, and risks. The value an international business can create in a foreign market depends on suitability of its products to that market and the nature of indigenous competition. Timing of entry. You have first mover advantages, preempt rivals and capture demand by establishing a strong brand name and customer satisfaction. Build sales volume in that country and ride down the experience curve ahead of different rivals. And create switching costs that tie customers into their products or services. Then you have first mover disadvantages. The enterprise has to devote considerable effort, time, and expense to learning the rules of the game. Also, there's big costs for business failure. And costs of promoting and establishing a product offering include the cost of educating a customer. And regulations that change in a way that diminishes the value of an early entrance investment, and the need to educate customers about your company's product. Those are very costly decisions that you have to make. So the scale of entry and strategic commitments. A strategic commitment has a long-term impact and is difficult to reverse. Rapid, large-scale market entry can have an important influence on the nature of competition in the market, meaning that if you're a huge company and you decide to make a play for a foreign market and you're a big player, you may scare away competition that may not have as many resources as you do. Also, must be balanced against the resulting risks and lack of flexibility associated with these type of significant commitments that are made. Small-scale entry allows a firm to learn about a foreign market while limiting the firm's exposure to that market. Market entry summary. What we have here is no right decision. It just really depends on the risks and rewards and how much a company wants to make. Businesses based in developing nations also have to enter foreign markets and become global players. You can succeed against well-established global competitors by pursuing appropriate strategies. There are 6 different entry modes: exporting, turnkey projects, licensing, franchising, joint ventures, exporting, and turnkey projects. Let's go definitions. Exporting is the sale of products produced in one country to residents of another country. Advantages of exporting: avoids the often substantial costs of establishing manufacturing operations in a host country. It also may help a firm achieve experience curve and local location economies. Disadvantages of exporting: may not be appropriate if lower cost locations for manufacturing the product can be found abroad. High transport costs can also make exporting uneconomical, particularly for bulk products that are heavy and take up a lot of space, and transporting them is expensive. Tariff barriers can make exporting uneconomical as well, and local agents for marketing, sales, and service may have divided loyalties. Turnkey projects: contractor agrees to handle every detail of the project for a foreign client, including the training of operating personnel. It means of exporting technology to other countries. In turnkey projects, the advantages are you can earn great economic returns, and it also can be less risky than a conventional foreign direct investment. However, the disadvantages, the firm will have no long-term interest in the foreign country, and selling a technology through a turnkey project is also selling competitive advantage to potential interactional competitors. Remember, that competitor can then end up selling the product back to your market. Licensing grants rights to intangible property to another entity, patents, inventions, formulas, processes, designs, copyrights, and trademarks. The advantages of licensing: no development costs and risks associated with a foreign market. It's also used when a firm wishes to participate in a foreign market, but is prohibited from doing so by whatever barriers to investment that may exist within that country. Also used when a firm possesses some intangible property that might have business applications, but does not want to develop those applications itself. And then some of the disadvantages that you have for licensing: it does not give a firm the tight control over manufacturing, marketing, and strategy required for realizing experience curve and location economies. It also limits a firm's ability to coordinate strategic moves across countries by using profits earned in one country to support competitive attacks in another. And lastly, the risk associated with licensing technological know-how to a foreign company. You may not want to give up those secrets. Franchising. Franchisor sells intangible property, normally a trademark, to the franchisee and insists that the franchisee agree to abide by strict rules as to how it does business. Some of the advantages of that: the firm experiences lower costs and risks than opening a foreign market on its own and helps build a global presence quickly. The disadvantages of franchising: it may inhibit firms' ability to take profits out of one country to support competitive attacks in another, and also quality control. Joint ventures. Cooperative undertaking between two or more firms, 50-50 ventures are most common. The advantages of joint ventures include local partners' knowledge of the host country's competitive conditions, culture, language, political systems, and business. There's also shared costs and risks, and political considerations, government interference, nationalism, etc. The disadvantages of joint ventures include loss of technology control, lack of control over subsidiaries that it might need to realize experience curve or location economies, and can lead to conflicts and battles for control between the investing firm if their goals and objectives change, or if they take different views as to what the strategy should be. Wholly owned subsidiaries. Firm owns 100% of the subsidiary. Greenfield venture, set up a new operation in host country. An acquisition, acquire an established firm in a host nation. The advantages to this: reduces the risk of losing control over tech, can tightly control operations in different countries, location and experience curve economies, and 100% share of profits. There's no sharing with any other entities. Wholly owned subsidiaries disadvantages: you bear the full cost and risk of establishing that new market, and the risks with conducting business in a new culture, and can be other problems associated with acquisitions that outweigh the benefits. Selecting an entry mode. Core competencies and entry mode: you have technological know-how, often shared through a wholly owned subsidiary. Licensing and joint venture arrangements should be avoided unless the technological advantage is transitory. Management know-how: less risk for franchises or joint ventures. Pressures for cost reductions and entry mode. The greater the pressures for cost reductions, the more likely a firm will want to pursue some combination of exporting and wholly owned subsidiaries. Wholly owned marketing subsidiaries give firm the tight control that might be required for coordinating a globally dispersed value chain. Also, it gives the firm the ability to use profits generated in one market to improve its competitive position in another. The advantages and disadvantages of entry modes. Exporting. Advantages, ability to realize location and experience curve economies, increased speed and flexibility of engaging target markets. In turnkey contracts, ability to earn returns from process technology skills in countries where FDI is restricted. Exporting disadvantage: high transport costs, trade barriers, and problems with local marketing agents. In the disadvantages for the turnkey contracts, the creation of efficient competitors, and lack of long-term market presence. Licensing, the advantage, low development costs and risks, moderate involvement and commitment, and then for franchising, low development costs and risks also, possible circumvention of import barrier, and strong sales potential. Disadvantages in licensing, lack of control over tech, inability to realize location and experience curve economies, and inability to engage in global strategic coordination. Disadvantages for franchising, lack of control over quality, inability to engage in global strategic coordination. Joint ventures, advantages, access to local partners' knowledge, shared development costs and risks, politically acceptable, typically no ownership restrictions. Wholly owned subsidiaries, advantages include protection of tech, ability to engage in global strategic coordination, and ability to realize location and experience economies. The disadvantages for joint ventures include lack of control over technology, inability to engage in global strategic coordination, and inability to realize location and experience economies. High costs and risks, need for more human and non-human resources, interaction and integration with local employees. The greenfield adventure or acquisition. The pros and cons of acquisitions. Well, one of them is quick to execute. It also may help to preempt competitors and keep them out of the market, and it may be less risky than greenfield adventures. Acquisitions often produce disappointing results. Why do acquisitions fail? Well, here's some reasons. Overpaying. Hubris hypothesis of why acquisitions fail. Culture class. Integrating the operations of the acquired and acquiring entities often run into roadblocks and take much longer than forecast. Also, inadequate pre-acquisition screening. Reducing the risks of failure. Detailed audit of operations, financial position, and management culture. Reduce unwanted management attrition, and put integration plan quickly into place. Pros and cons of greenfield ventures. Gives firm a much greater ability to build the kind of subsidiary company it wants. Slower to establish, risky but less risky than acquisitions, and preemption possible by more aggressive global competitors. Which choice? Well, an acquisition is when the firm is seeking to enter a market where there are already well-established incumbent enterprises. Global competitors are also interested in establishing a presence. Greenfield, when there are no incumbent competitors to be acquired, the competitive advantage of the firm is based on the transfer of organizationally embedded competencies, skills, routines, and culture. Strategic alliances. Advantages of strategic alliances include facilitation entry into a foreign market, allows firms to share fixed costs and associated risks of developing new products and processes. It brings together complementary skills and assets that neither company could easily develop on their own, and may help the firm establish technological standards for the industry that will benefit the firm. The disadvantages of strategic alliances include may give competitors a low-cost route to new technology and markets, and may generate short-term profits, but the result is to hollow out U.S. firms, leaving them with no competitive advantage in the global marketplace. Making alliances work, partner selection. A good partner helps the firm achieve its strategic goals, has the capabilities the firm lacks, is unlikely to try to opportunistically exploit its partner. In choosing a partner, collect as much pertinent, publicly available information on potential allies as possible. Gather data from informed third parties, and get to know potential partner as well as possible before committing to an alliance. The alliance structure. Reduce the risk of giving away too much to the partner. Contractual safeguards guard against risk of opportunism by a partner. Agree in advance to swap skills and technologies that the other covets, thereby ensuring a chance for equitable gain. Cross-licensing agreements. Extract a significant credit commitment from the partner in advance. Managing the alliance. Be sensitive to cultural differences, build trust, build relational capital, and learn from the alliance partner and apply the knowledge within one's own organization. The 360 view, impact of the macro environment, political economy and entry choices. Long-run economic benefits of market entry depend upon factors such as market size, purchasing power of consumers in that market, and likely future wealth of consumers. It may change due to changes in political, economic, and legal systems. For example, Venezuela. Changes in the macro environment, such as the legal rules governing foreign investments, can have a profound impact upon the favored entry road. Example, India. Political economy and entry choices continue to recent trends. Declining trade barriers have made exporting more attractive as an entry mode. Countries have mostly become more welcoming to foreign investment and more willing to allow foreign enterprises to establish wholly owned entities in their nations. I thank you for listening.